the speech, the keynote we're about to hear, is not about leadership in a time of urgency. It's something a little less delicate, but I will allow Emma, our lovely speaker, to share that herself. It's really a privilege to hear from Emma, actually. As you'll hear, the story that she's about to share has shaped the sort of life that she's sort of lived over the past few months, years, and it's a brilliant story, I think, to remind ourselves of what happens when one works at a certain pace for a certain amount of time without checking in on oneself, and a really good reminder that the most important person to look after is almost always yourself. Without further ado, I'd love to welcome Emma to the stage to give her talk. It's okay.
Hi, yes, if you were expecting me to talk about leadership, what is it? Leadership in the face of urgency. I suppose what this story is about is how something pretty serious happened in my life and how I've led my way through this. I'd really like everyone just to, we've all had lunch, we're all a bit tired, everyone just to stand up, start by standing up. Oh, the people just coming in the room, perfect, you're standing up. Okay, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And if the answer to the question is yes, stay standing. Okay, so stay standing if you're really on top of all your messages. And that'll be your inbox, your emails, your WhatsApps, your Google Chats, your Slacks, text messages. If you're a parent, all the parent WhatsApp, wow, we've only got 4 left. Well done you 4 so far. I have 2 more questions for you. And I'm unsurprised, by the way. Don't feel bad that you sat down. So stay standing if you feel your work-life balance is pretty good. You get to spend time with your family, get to do the golf, the tennis, whatever it is. That work-life balance is pretty measured and you're quite happy with it. You're all still standing. That is amazing. Okay, my final question. Stay standing if you feel you genuinely prioritise your own physical and mental well-being over work. Wow, you 2 are still standing. Give them a round of applause. Thank you for that. And what's your excuse? That's brilliant. Have you got kids? Well, I mean, I think that does slightly help. But well done. You may spend the next half an hour on your phone. Everyone else, listen up, because it's pretty evident. So, bit of introduction of who I am. But yeah, basically, this is called Slow the Fuck Down. And I appreciate I'm in a room full of leaders who are probably all about speeding the fuck up. But let me tell you that this is actually about better performance and better productivity as a leader. So my name's Emma Harris. I run a business called Glow London. We are effectively a team of former clients who help people and work with C-suite leaders to understand really what matters, to slow the fuck down and work out what actually is going to drive this business forward. Where are we going to get our growth from? Often that starts with the brand, because it starts with finding a position of differentiation and really be able to express what makes you different, particularly in a B2B world. There's a lot of people saying the same stuff, especially in the tech world. So we help them carve out some uniqueness and then drive the change that sits behind that. I also have 4 kids. There's a picture of them on the left. I'm not sure if this is your left or your right. I have from 23 down to 7. So I have what's generally known as sex, drugs and nursery rhymes all going on at the same time. It's a 24-hour operation. Glow is part of a business called Planet K2. Planet K2 are human performance experts and have spent about 30 years in elite sport helping business people think, prepare and perform like elite athletes. You often hear, if I played business like I played sport, I do a lot better, and that's what we help people do. So you'll hear some of that in my talk today. That little colourful logo, Friends of Tetherdown. I'm on the PTA at the school. Anyone here on the PTA at the school? No? Yeah, someone at the back, thank you. it's a task. Let's just say that. I'm also big part. There's a thing which yesterday's audience would have known better, but it's called the Marketing Academy. It helps the future generations of marketing. We teach them, we train them, and I am a trustee of their foundation, which helps young people who wouldn't naturally get jobs in marketing. We support them through that process, help them find jobs, places like Amazon, coach them, support them, give them confidence. I'm also an NLP practitioner. Does anyone know what NLP is? Shout out. Neurolinguistic programming. So NLP is basically the study of the unconscious mind. And 95% of our behavior is unconscious. I'm going to mention that again in a minute. So understanding that unconscious behavior is a pretty useful thing for your own life and the life of others around you. And that blue hexagonal logo, until a couple of years ago, I was also on the board of a business, global social media business called Social Element. So I was kind of running two businesses. So you're getting a picture of somebody with a lot on. This is going back to May 22. So the first picture that you'll see is me looking really smug because I was on the way back from Chicago. I had a week with WPP, got upgraded to first class, never been first class before in BA, very chuffed, life goals. I was due in New York on the Monday for a board meeting, and that was a Friday flight. Most sane people would have gone straight from Chicago to New York, but because I've got 4 kids, I was like, I better get home. In my head, they hadn't eaten. You know, they were waiting at the door, scratching at the door saying, where's mum? Clearly, they were much happier without me because they were allowed to use their devices all the time. But I did fly home and then flew back out to New York. That rather unattractive first 2 pictures of me running. One is on the Monday, one is on the Wednesday. I'm fairly reliant for photographic evidence of what happened that week because I don't remember a lot of it. But, you know, this is a picture of somebody who's doing, I imagine, living a life quite similar to yours, trying to exercise to keep my mental and physical well-being going. So up early, running by the Hudson, all day, full day board meeting, out somewhere fabulous in the evening, cocktails, drinking a lot of coffee to keep myself upright. And then the third picture the fourth one at the bottom, that was a party. We had a big party we were hosting on the Friday night for all of our team in the US. And then that last picture is in a place in Soho. We went for brunch just before we got on the plane. And that picture was taken at 12:08. And at 12:13, I stood up to go to the toilet, slipped gracefully, I'm told, back down the back of a chair, and had a cardiac arrest. Now, if anyone thinks, like I did, that cardiac arrest is American for heart attack, because you hear it all the time on Grey's Anatomy, it's not. It's actually the difference. A heart attack, your muscles are struggling, you're trying to breathe. A cardiac arrest is lights out. Your heart stops. And unless you're near somebody who can do really good CPR or near a defibrillator, you die. So 9 out of 10 people that this happens to die. And of the people that survive, about 60% get brain damage. So I stand here before you, along with Christian Eriksen, the footballer who it happened to in the Euros, as somebody who's incredibly lucky. My friend stood up and shouted, call 911, get some help, because apparently I was going blue, which isn't a good look. And 3 people in the restaurant stood up and came over, and they were doctors. And they saved my life. And I wanted to go to a different restaurant, and I'm not good at not getting my own way. But my other friends had persuaded me, thank God, to go to that restaurant. And here I stand before you. And when I woke up in ICU in New York, and I didn't know what had happened, I was very confused. When I eventually got my head around what had happened, my only thought was, what the fuck have I been doing? Genuinely, what the fuck have I been doing? I've got a 5-year-old at home, and I'm missing so much of his life. And I'm running around like a crazy person. For what and for who? And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. And how this has really changed me and a lot of people who I'm connected to. So left on my own in the hospital, I took it upon myself to share what happened to me on social media. Now, that was a really stupid idea because my kids didn't know I was ill, my clients didn't know I was ill, and we kept it really tight. We didn't know how to survive. But, and what this post says, you probably can't read it from there. It's like, I'm not, as someone who's a believer that social media shouldn't just be for the positive, here I am, mum of 4, running 2 businesses and a charity. I'm in New York and I think I wrote a heart attack at the time because I didn't quite know what was going on. And I wrote my story and I put at the end, hashtag slow the fuck down. Everywhere I look, I see people that are burning out. Let's all calm down. Hashtag slow the fuck down. And you probably can't see the numbers over there, but there are 92,000 engagements, 9,000 comments, and 9 million views. Now, link that sort of number on Instagram or TikTok isn't that unusual. But to get 9 million views on LinkedIn is unheard of. And the reason that I believe this happened, it was reposted 3,000 times, is because it really resonated with people. Over here and the US, it just absolutely, my friend phoned me and said, you just broke LinkedIn. And really, it wasn't people writing like one sentence. There were people writing paragraphs of their stories. One guy worked in advertising, told me he knew he was having a heart attack on the way to a pitch, went through with the pitch, and on the way out, asked the suit, please, can you take me to A&E? This is the madness. And I know that you're all gasping, but I bet a lot of you guys choose to put work ahead of your own health. We all do it. I am not a hypocrite. That was me. So what did I learn? This is what I'm going to talk about today. Really the learnings I've had and the changes that it's made in me and what we can learn as individuals and as leaders. So the three things, three big chunks. One is make better choices. And that sounds really bloody obvious, but it isn't that easy. 2 is manifest, don't stress. Now, manifestation gets a really bad rap. People think, I've read the book The Secret. I'm going to ask for a feather and it will come. This is the science behind actually choosing your outcomes. This is athletic behavior. And the last one is about look after you. So I'll start with make better choices. This sounds really fucking obvious, but work out what actually matters and prioritize it. Remember at the beginning, I said that's what we do as a business. That's what we help our clients do. And this is no different because before my cardiac arrest, this is what I thought was important. Money, work, status. I was 10 years at Eurostar and I flew through that place. I was single, I didn't have kids. It was a different time then. But I remember every 9 months, I was like, what's next, what's next, what's next? And I was always like, when I get that job title, until I'm C-suite, I don't think I'll be happy. But once I'm C-suite, I'll be happy. And then you get there and guess what? You're not that happy because then you want more. And you've earned more money, so you've bought a bigger house. So you've got a bigger mortgage, so you need more money. And then you want another house. And I feel like I am representative of most people who put their happiness slightly in front of ourselves. When that happens, I'll be happy. When I'm, rich enough, when I'm loved enough, when I'm thin enough, whatever the fuck it is. And you know what? You never get there. For most people, that's the quest. I don't remember what I meant. I was obsessed. My business launched officially in 2019, and I trebled the growth in the first year and the second year. And I don't remember how I did that, but I remember I did very little else but work. I would chase the money. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Not worry so much about whether the values that I had were really being met with the clients we were working with. And now I don't remember what I meant. Our turnover is much smaller. Our profit actually isn't that much different, ironically. But our turnover is much smaller, but we're happier. I'm happier. Because actually, this is what matters. When you think you're going to die, you're not thinking about your P&L. You're thinking about your kids or your loved ones or your parents or the people you could have left behind or what you could have done differently. So, and I appreciate you guys won't have had this experience, but I really hope that in some way, this is really showing you how easy it was. I had no pre-existing conditions. The cardiologists were very baffled by what happened to me, and the only thing that they could put it down to is stress. Running 2 businesses, 4 kids. My husband's an actor. I forgot to mention he's currently performing up the road at the Hampstead Theatre. He was filming in Barcelona at the time, a thing called The Diplomat. So, I'm juggling everything. Just too much. I'd lost both my parents in the 10 years before this had happened. Just too much. That's the only thing. So my cardiologist's advice to me, take everything down a notch, everything. You can still exercise, you can still drink coffee, you can still drink alcohol, you can still live your life, but take everything down a notch. And this is how I've done it. Because when you have a sort of MO, a way of being, it's hard to change. So a big thing I've talked about for a long time as an NLP practitioner, which I wasn't following, is remembering your thoughts and feelings don't actually exist. Now, that doesn't mean I'm negating the struggles we have with our mental health. But if you think about it, you can't touch a thought or a feeling. It just exists in your head. And as soon as you've had a thought, you can change it. But your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and a thought that's imagined. So the minute you think something, your unconscious mind thinks it's real. But we can actually change it. Because most of the time, our decisions are made on the three things that our unconscious mind's telling us. One is fear. If I don't go to that meeting, if I don't close this sale, and you're not even really sure of what that story is, you feel the feeling, but you don't really hear the story. But if you followed those stories, you'd realize most of the time we're catastrophizing. But we're doing it so unconsciously that we're not thinking about it. So I coach a very, very senior woman. And I was trying to get her to leave her phone at home and go for a walk. She was really stressed and she just wouldn't do it. And I got her to unravel the story. And I know this sounds mad, but this is the kind of thing our unconscious mind does to us. If I don't answer the phone, people will think I'm flaky. I'll lose my reputation. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my house. I'll die in the streets alone. But with that fear, we're not conscious of what it is, but it does things to us. Fear about what's happening with our kids, fear about what's happening at 4 o'clock in the morning when you're half awake and the voices start telling you that everyone's going to die and everything's terrible. It's just a thought. It's your unconscious mind. We are pre-wired to think negatively. If you think back in the day, if there was a noise in the bush, it was better to think that might be a lion that's going to eat me than, oh, that's probably just a nice fairy bunny. I'll carry on. So we're pre-wired to think negatively. In fact, 85% of our thoughts are negative. And we don't have to listen to them. The minute you put that idea, it's just a thought, it's like putting a pin in a balloon. And the grip it can have on you can disappear. FOMO. Anyone in here have FOMO? I'm terrible. I mean, literally, I cannot leave a bar. I've got much better. I've discovered JOMO, which is the joy of missing out in bed with the dog watching Netflix, knowing I don't have to have a hangover the next day. But pre-cardiac arrest, honestly, and again, what's that story? I think it was like Beyonce might arrive any second. The minute I leave and make best friends with everyone in the bar and invite them to live with her in LA, I don't know. But there was a sense of if I leave now, it's all going to get amazing. And it doesn't exist. Guilt. I'm a Jewish mother. The guilt is big. I feel it, I give it. And you know, I flew home because I had this terrible guilt that my kids needed me. It didn't exist. So make decisions based on evidence. Is Beyonce even in the country, Emma? You know, what is actually going to happen if I don't go to that meeting? Particularly as leaders, if you're always in meetings that your direct reports are in as well, unconsciously what you're communicating is, I don't quite trust you. So, you know that classic thing, got to step back, got to let them make mistakes. That's how they learn. But look at your diary and think, what could I not be doing? And here's another thing that drives our choices. I don't know if any of you have heard of Jay Shetty, listened to any of his stuff. He's brilliant. This is my favorite quote of his. I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. So we create so many stories about what other people are thinking about us. Trust me, we all have an unconscious, natural ego bias. So we're all much more preoccupied with ourselves than anyone else. And so are they. So that thing we do of, I better go to that party or I'll ruin her life, she's still going to have a great time. It's going to be all right. If you're tired, don't go. Similarly, at work, a woman I know, and the other day was like, oh, my boss is really angry with me. And I said to her, what? How do you know that? She said, oh, because the trains were buggered. I didn't get to be in the office for this meeting. So I said, well, how do you know she's angry? She said, well, I told her I was going to be working from home. She wrote back, okay. So I said, and does she normally quite sort of flowery with her language? Oh, no, she's always like that. So how do you know she's angry? And she realised she just made up this entire scenario in her head. And then we act on it. Then we're submissive. Then we're on the back foot. Then we're apologising for shit we haven't done. So not only are you making up thoughts and feelings in your head that don't exist, you're the imagined thoughts of other people that don't exist. It's double madness. Don't do it. If you catch yourself doing it, pull yourself out of it. And here's how. Number one, recognize that's just a thought. Pin in a balloon. Oh, I could just think something else. They love me. Focus on evidence. Okay is not an angry response. Do I know that she's angry? Is Beyonce in the country? Ground yourself in the present. So at 4:00 in the morning, when those thoughts are loud and you feel you don't have a choice but to listen, you do have a choice. And you can just go, actually, I'm lying in bed. Everything's calm. No one's at risk. Everything is okay. And a really great way of doing it is just to think, what voice is that I'm listening to? Anyone seen this film, Inside Out? Such a cute film. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And it's a kid's film. But it's this little girl, and these are all the different emotions that live in her head. And you watch which one's got the control panel is how she's feeling. The best bit is when they go into the dad's head, and all his people are just watching the football. And the mum's chatting away, and the dads, they're just watching football. And then there's a silence, and they all go, she just asked us a question. And they're like drinking beer, watching the football. She asked us a question, quick, rewind the tape. It's so funny. So yes, we all have these little people, right? So my very negative loud voice is my mother, God rest her soul. You know, I had this classic Jewish mother who would say things like, that must be so comfy, you always wear it. You know, it's that sort of, that was the Jewish mother. And, she loved me. So that voice is very negative and it's very loud. And I have to recognize that voice is trying to make me better, because that's what my mum wanted for me. I also have a risk manager who has a clipboard and glasses and drives my husband completely fucking mad. She can't bear being late. Everything's got to be planned within an inch of its life. I've got kick-ass who left Eurostar after 10 years with no job and pregnant and went, it'll be fine. We'll just get on with it. I've got cheerleader. I've got people pleaser. She's a terrible one for FOMO. But it's just about saying, okay, all those voices have positive intentions. Sometimes the negative voice you can be afraid of. So when you get those 4:00 thoughts, just go, get to know them all. That's negative, Ninny. Don't want to listen to you now, love. I'm going to pass the mic to Nurturer, who's going to tell me to get back to sleep. So the point of making better choices, this is all about understanding your own unconscious mind and your own decisions. And if you see it in your teams, if you're leading people that you can see are running on this fear, connect with that, help them, recognize it's just a thought, what's actually happening. Let's make sure from a business point of view, we are making decisions based on evidence. We do it all the time. Where's the data? Now, manifestation, like I said, it gets a bad word, but this is how I live my life. I genuinely believe you can have anything you want in life. There are two conditions which must exist. The first one is to know what you want. And often that's the hard bit, particularly if you're at a crossroads and you're not quite sure, what do I want to do? Do I want to jump off and live on a beach for the rest of my life, or do I want to climb the ladder? You have to know what it is you want, because whatever you think it is that you are going to get, that's what will happen. You have to know what it is and then know you can have it. Because if you think you can't have it, that 95% of your unconscious mind will create that. If you visualize your unconscious mind as a massive horse and your conscious mind is just like a tiny jockey hanging on to the mane, and whatever that unconscious horse thinks is going to happen, it will go out and get it. And that's why you can have anything you want in life. I'll explain it a little bit more. Here's the science. You guys are techie, you like a bit of science. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And it's your lasers, it's the radar, it's the thing that chooses what to notice. Because every second of the day, you're receiving millions of bits of information. It's the bit of your brain, so it connects about 7 ± 2 bits of information any second. So if I said to you, focus just for a second on your right foot and just feel that feeling in your big toe, if you really focus, you can feel a little bit of tingly sensation. That's actually the blood running through your foot. Now, I don't think you've probably ever been aware of that feeling. If you can't feel that, please go immediately to A&E. But you should be able to feel it, that weird tingly feeling. Imagine if you were to feel that and have your heart beating, your breathing, everything, your mind would explode with trying to process all those things. So your RAS is the thing that chooses what to notice. When you get a new car and suddenly everyone on the road's got the same car, you see it all the time. It's not true. They haven't just got the same car as you, but your RAS is picking it up. So imagine if you could program your RAS to get what you want. That's why manifestation works. Because what you're doing is you're telling your RAS, this is what I want. This is the opportunity. This is where the horse is going. Notice it and get it. So if you're going for a new opportunity, I always say to people, don't worry about what the job looks like on a piece of paper. See the office, feel the people, know what it feels like to walk in and see how valued you are. And then your RAS will go, this is the one. You'll walk in and you'll feel differently because your belief is what drives your behavior. The belief is the thing that it starts with. Your belief drives your feelings drive your behavior drives your outcome, and then it goes back round. So, for example, you're in a big pitch situation. You think you're going to win it. You will behave much more. You'll feel confident. You'll behave confidently. You'll win it, and then that reinforces the cycle. Similarly, the negative beliefs reinforce the cycle. So we have to work on our beliefs. This is true for work and for personal. So a big thing that we do, the first time we ever sit down with our leaders, we do a thing called Creating Future Memories, where we take the leadership team to a future where they've already achieved their ambitions. Could be 2-5 years. And we go through what we call the neurological levels of purpose, behavior, environment, belief, what capabilities, and we describe it in the present tense. And what you're doing there is you're creating that big horse. You're creating the neurological pathways to believe it can happen. They will then see that future. They will feel more confident, and their decision-making will take them there. We then go back to today and have to do it again, and all the things that are holding us back. That's a bit like therapy, and it's a bit depressing. But it works, because then the job is to build the bridge. How are we going to get from there to there? And then the change happens. But what you've done in that first session is created the mindset. Here's things that we can do every day. I do it with parking fairies. If I'm driving somewhere and it's quite difficult to park, I'll visualize the space. That sounds like a crazy little thing. It works. But every day I'll set my outcomes. I brush my teeth in the morning. I'll decide how I want to feel when I brush my teeth later on. I'm telling the horse where to go. I wasn't worried about this. I was just visualizing the massive, rapturous round of applause that you were all going to give me at the end of the session. And all of you coming up to me and telling me that was amazing, or sending me messages on LinkedIn. That's what I do. And why I say manifest, don't stress, is because then rather than worry, am I going to remember to say this? I'm going to remember to say that. What am I going to do? I just go to that place in the future and I tell my horse where it has to go. And it happens. So and this is how athletes behave. Any gold medalist will tell you the difference between gold and fourth is up here. They're all as fast as each other. Sally Gunnell, I've got people in the room old enough to know who Sally Gunnell is. That's amazing. She will tell you when she first won her gold medal, she didn't know whether it actually was happening or whether it was another visualization, because she'd visualized it so many times where she was going to look, how she was going to feel. She genuinely thought it was another visualization. She was so programmed to win it. And we don't do that enough in business. So going into a big meeting, don't stress about your boards or your slides, or you just know when you come out, you've absolutely smashed it. And you can do this on an annual basis. I pick a day every year in January, and I just take a slither of that day. And I go, right, it's January the 5th, and I'm waking up at 6. I'm doing yoga, which I started last August. And I now do it 3 times a day, and I'm walking past my new sofa. And I go through the day in real detail in the present tense. All the things I want to change within the realms of my, I'm not like I'm a catwalk model in Milan. I mean, I'm 51 and that ship has sailed for many reasons. But yes, it's within the realms of your capabilities. What's that perfect day look like? And you cover your health, you cover work, relationships, home, and finance. And this shit works. I cannot tell you how many times I've done a session like this and someone at the back says, you did this with me 3 years ago, and everything came true. I meet people all the time at events who use this method and it works. So do it for your business as well. We do it as a team. We always start the year, our first team meeting of the year, let's do our outcomes for January next year. So, and then we do a vision board, because if we visualize it, I have it on my screensaver on my laptop. So it's constantly reinforcing my belief, telling the horse where it needs to go. And then you can relax and know it's going to happen. So yeah, that creating future memories with your team, really, really important. Because when you're here and you've got a big hill to climb, we've got to get to that revenue, we've got to sell in 3 years, whatever it is, it feels absolutely insurmountable. So you go into it and it's already happening. And the change in them will be massive. I think I may have converted some of you in the power of manifestation. And how much have I got? Brilliant. Okay. This is a really great model for looking after yourselves. So this is the athlete at work approach. Business people, if you were to look at each one of these segments, tactical being your day-to-day calendar, things to do, reports, whatever it is. Physical, looking after your physical, sleep, hydration, nutrition, exercise, downtime. Mental, we just talked about the power of outcome setting. Emotional, choosing your mood, making sure you have the right support around you, making sure you're not going home to be more people that are draining you. Who is in your team, and I don't mean physical team, but who are those people you could just get a little WhatsApp in the middle of the day and they lift your energy. Making sure you're choosing to hang out with them, not the mood hoovers. We all know who they are. Those people that can suck the life out of a room in 1 second. Choosing that. Have you got a question? Do you want me to answer it right now?
To question what you're doing and to say, no, actually, you're wrong. This is the wrong thing for you.
Yeah.
So what you want is not people who are always going to say, you're brilliant, you're great. You want people who are going to be honest with you. And if you're going in the wrong path, so you can't just surround yourself with people who tell you you're doing great.
Absolutely. I love that. I would imagine people in your team, the people that you would choose to hang around with, would be people that challenge you. So if you've got the right people around you who can challenge you and make you feel, some of my best friends are my biggest challengers. My husband's my biggest challenger and me his. So this isn't about having yes people around you. This is about avoiding those people who, for whatever reason, suck the life out of a room when you need to have the energy. So you're going into a big meeting at 3:00, but the 15 minutes before you go in, consider the energy of the people around you is putting you in the best place to perform.
Yep, no, I agree with that. And the thing is, you can meet people who can take the wind out of your sails, and it can be for not a good reason. So it's good to be aware of those. But the thing is, you have to take the full spectrum of opinions from everyone in order to understand where you need to go in life.
Yeah. I would also say your choice to respond to people's challenges is your choice. But yes, my point is on the business people, their performance pie is about 97% tactical. So we get up, we do our calendars, we get through the day and then we stop. Whereas an athlete would have a much more balanced, considering their mental, their emotional, their physical. Going to the gym is part of your performance as a business person. Drinking water, not too much coffee, sleep, all these things are a choice in your performance. This is what I wasn't doing enough of. So do bear that in mind. I am still me. I am still Neil, who's at the back of the room, has known me for 51 years. I am still me. This is my third speaker session in the last 24 hours. But I was at home at 3:30 yesterday, and I spent the whole evening with my 7-year-old. And I haven't been out at all, haven't drunk for about a week, which is a lot to me. But, my question to you is, from what you've heard, how can you make better choices to slow the fuck down? And how can you help your teams to just think differently with some of the things that we've said? And if you need some support, this is how to get hold of me. And thank you for your attention. Have we got time for questions, or am I done? Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much, Emma. I think brilliant to have the email there. I think we will be sharing those details after the event too, because if you do want to get in contact with Emma for any reason, I would absolutely recommend to do so. One thing I took from that is just that when we think about the power of storytelling, which we hear so often across marketing and tech, and across every business sort of context, the power of storytelling isn't necessarily positive. The stories you can tell ourselves can be negative, and actually that sort of net neutrality around storytelling is really important to critically analyse. So, Emma, thanks for bringing that to light. I think that might be one of the most important things we hear today.
The most.
As editor, I can't say that, but thank you very much.